Hello, and welcome back to Frontend Hero. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. We're actually going to expand upon a tutorial we previously made, which is build a stylish custom Google map with the Google Maps API. And what we're going to do is basically add in some clustering functionality. So let's see what we're going to create today. So here's our previous map with all of our markers. And if we zoom out, we can actually see them getting clustered together. So first there's 2, then there's 4, zoom out again, and then all of the 5 markers are in one cluster. So that's very cool, especially if you have lots of markers and you all want to bunch them up together. So we're going to build this now. Okay, so just to reiterate, we are working with the tutorial we've previously made, so we're going to have to open that code back up. If you need to get a hold of the code, you can either watch the previous video or you can download the code straight away from my Lemon Squeezy store, and the link is in the description. Alrighty. Okay, so we need to open up our index.html file again, and we need to add in the Google Maps clustering library. So basically, I've just Googled this to find out the exact library, and it's on this website on pkg.com or on package as a cool way. So basically I've just copied that and it's given me the script there exactly how I need it. And if I copy and paste this into the browser, we'll see the library just like that. So that's great. We've got that nice and handy in our index.html file now. So the library's there. Now we just need to go into the main.js file and start working on that. So here we can see all of the bakeries we've previously created. We've got 5 here in total. So if we just scroll down the script a little bit and we can actually search for a place to pop in our first line of code. Okay, so just under this info window block here is a perfect area. So we're just going to say something like create array to store all marker objects. And then we can just declare the variable and we'll say const, and the variable name is just going to be map markers in camel case. So we're going to say equals empty array. Okay, so that's fine for the moment. Right, so inside of this for loop, what we need to do is actually now populate this empty array. So with my little commented area, I'm just going to say something like add markers to our array. And then all we have to do is go map markers dot push, and inside of the parameter, we'll just say marker. Okay, so now every time that loop is going to be run, it's going to add that marker to our map markers array. And now we can actually begin building our marker cluster. So just outside of the for loop, we're just going to pop in our comment and we'll say create the marker clusterer, just like that. And this is where we create an instance of our marker clusterer. We'll start off and say const marker cluster is a new marker clusterer dot marker clusterer. That is a mouthful. So inside of this configuration object here, we're going to include a few options. So we're going to say map, and map in our previous video is, I think it is, has an ID of Google-map. Yeah, just like that. So we're going to include this here because we want to cluster this map. And we'll also pass in our array that we've created called map markers. And basically that's it. That's all the code we need to create this cluster. So if we zoom out here in the browser, we can see 2 of those markers have become 2, 4, and then 5. So super simple to kind of get started with. But what we're going to do is actually create our own renderer. So Google provides this renderer object that we can manipulate and actually add in our own icons. And we'll first say renderer. And inside of the configuration curly brackets, we're going to say render. And basically render is just a function that gets called for each cluster. And it hands us an object with 2 properties, count and position. Count is the number of markers in a cluster and position is where it will show up on the map. Then our arrow function, and inside of the body, we're going to have a little fun here. So we're going to declare a variable called color, and we're going to make it Frontend Hero pink. And here we're creating and returning a new Google Maps marker. This is what actually gets placed on the map as the cluster icon. Now we need to pass in some properties. So we're going to say position from before, where it will actually be placed on the map. Then we're going to say icon because we're overriding the default icon. And we're simply just going to use some curly braces and include our new icon. Now we're going to set the URL property, and this is where the real magic happens. So we could link to an image file, But instead, we're going to be generating a data URL by encoding our SVG directly into base 64. So we can say data image / SVG XML and base 64. Then we pass in the function called BTOA, which basically just takes in our string and converts it into base 64 format. So essentially, we're writing SVG in line and converting it to an image kind of on the fly. So there's the basic structure of our SVG. We have an opening tag and a closing tag. And inside of our SVG tag, we're going to add some attributes in. So the first one to actually make this render as an SVG is going to be XMLNS, which is XML namespace, and there's the value for that there. The next attributes we need to add in are width and height, and I'm going to make this icon 40 pixels by 40 pixels. And the final value for this SVG tag is viewbox. And this basically describes what area of the SVG will be shown. And the value of this attribute takes 4 values. So the first 2 are basically top and left. So these can be 0, 0. But the next 2 are height and width, same as the height and width of our icon. And the next part is actually creating the icon, which is just a standard circle. You could go crazy and create a whole polygon, but for this tutorial, we're just going to create a circle. Next attributes are CX and CY. This basically defines the center of the circle, and it's 20 and 20 because our icon is 40 pixels. Next attribute is the radius. So that's just or equals 18 because the diameter is 36 pixels with the 2 pixel border going all the way around. So 36 and 4 equates to our 40 pixel circle. And then we can say the background or fill in SVG terms is going to be black. So 6 zeros there. Next attribute is the stroke color, and that's going to be white. So basically just 6 Fs in hex terms. And here is our final attribute for circle. So it's going to be stroke width, and the value is going to be 2. So if we go into our browser and zoom out, we can actually see the icon there. So there's the black circle with the white border. And that's pretty cool. But we don't want that. We actually want to include the color we've created previously. So we're going to pop in our variable here of color and give that a quick save. And now if we zoom out again, now that is looking pretty sharp. And the final thing we need to do now is to add a text tag, and that's going to be right on top of the circle. This is how we display the number of markers inside of our cluster. So we position the text at x equals 20 pixels, which is horizontally centered, and then y equals 25 pixels, which is just slightly lower than vertical center to visually kind of balance everything. The next attribute is text anchor, because we want the text to align from the middle and not left. And the next attribute is going to be fill. Just like a circle, it's going to color in the text, and that text color is going to be white. And then we'll just say font family is going to be something like Arial. And then the last bit of styling here is to basically just give it a font size value. So I'll say font size is something small, like maybe 12 pixels. And then we simply just add in the closing tag there, so /text. And now we need to add in the count variable. So let me open up this window a little bit more, just like that. Okay, so we can pop in 12 there as an example. Okay, that looks good to me. And now what we're going to do is to call our count variable. So there's 2, there's 4, and then there is 5. So everything is working exactly how we want it. And oh yeah, let me actually click the cluster here. So if we click it, then we can see all of our markers right there. So this is really nifty if you have a lot of markers on your map and you don't want it to look too cluttered. So yeah, you can just use these clusters. Okay, so that's all from me. If you did find value in this video, please do subscribe to the channel because I will be bringing out more of these Google Maps tutorials.